Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the White Heather Concert, brought to you direct from Bonnie, Scotland, and presented by Andy Stewart. My name is Jimmy Warren, tour manager for the White Heather Concerts, and now I would like you to sit back and enjoy the show. And first of all, I'd like to introduce our pianist for tonight. So let's give a nice welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Mark Simson. And it's always a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where you travel in the world, to introduce our next artist. So let's give a nice welcome to the star of the show, Scotland's greatest entertainer, Andy Stewart.
He's a braw, heeling lad, a private job McDeed. There's no another such a like him in the Scots Brigade. Reared among the heather, you can tell he's Scottish built. With a wiggle, 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 waggle o' the kilt. Now I'll never forget the day I went and joined the 93rd. The chums I used to run with said they thought I looked absurd. They saluted me and gathered round me in a ring. And as I wagged my tartan kilt, they all began to sing. He's a braw, heeling lad, a private job McDeed. There's no another soldier like him in the Scots Brigade. Reared among the heather, you can tell he's Scottish built. But a wiggle, 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 waggle o' the kilt. Ladies and gentlemen, our accordionist this evening is Jimmy Blue. Pretty girls with all of the frills and all of the curls, walking with a twinkle in their eye. Oh, they go down the streets in twos and fours, everyone looking out the doors to see the girls go marching by. Now there are big ones, small ones, even baby doll ones, to greet each boy with a smile. And there are sweet ones, fair ones, that get into your hill ones, that send you up to the sky. That's why I love a parade of pretty girls with all of the frills and all of the curls, walking with a twinkle in their eye. Oh, they go down the streets in twos and fours, everyone looking out the doors to see the girls going by. That's why I love a parade. Voice of Alec Morrison.
Step it out with a cheer and a shout while we're marching through the heather. Sing a song, keep it strong, though the way may be long, we will all get there together. Here we come to the beat of the drum, and we'll never mind the weather. So we smile all the while, every long weary mile, march, march, marching through the heather.
I'll never forget the day that we were ordered on review. The Queen came down to see us and Prince Philip was there too. As I marched past the royal car, Prince Philip shook his head, but the Queen put on her tartan specs and turned to him and said, he's a braw, hailing lad, a private job McDeed. There's no another soldier like him in the Scots Brigade. Reared among the heather, you can tell he's Scottish built, with a wiggle, 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 waggle o' the kilt. Hello, good evening, how are you? And welcome to the show. Do I have them on? By Joe, shoot a good look, hadn't you, eh? I don't mind you looking, but did you have to have your camera with you? Oh, you know what the song says. The Highlandman, he wears the kilt, and when the wind is blowing, he doesn't know where the wind comes from, but by Jove, he knows where it's going. It's not the wind that bothers me, that isn't half my troubles. It's when the rain is raining and I'm splashing through the puddles. My goodness me, you're liable to get soaked right up to the mud guards. Of course, you know, everybody's very curious about what you wear underneath the kilt, especially the Americans. I saw this American tourist in Edinburgh this year. You can always tell the American tourists, they're the only ones wearing tartan. She was walking up and down the Royal Mile, photographing everything in sight. She came up to the gates of Edinburgh Castle, right in the esplanade there, and there was a big jock, a big Scottish soldier, standing on sentry duty. She went up to him, she said, "Gee, I've never seen a genuine Scotchman in a kilt before. Tell me, is there anything worn underneath your kilt?" He says, "No, lassie, it's all in perfect working order." Let me introduce to you, once again, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful accordion-playing talents of the one and only Jimmy Blue. Thank you very much, Jimmy. By Joes, wasn't that marvellous? And he's such a nice fella, too, you know? He's a great guy, I'll tell you. He spends every penny he earns on his loved ones. And if his wife ever finds out, she'll murder him. What about the weather here, eh? Isn't it marvellous? Reminds me of home. What do you mean, oh? Don't laugh. We had a marvellous summer in Scotland last year. It was a Thursday. What? Well, it was a Thursday afternoon, anyway. And I went on holiday with my wife and my family. We went on holiday in the Glasgow Fair. And we didn't even take the car, we went by train. And we'd forgotten what it could be like. We got there, it was pandemonium. There was people running here, there, everywhere. I saw a lady in tears. "I've lost my husband," she said. "I've lost my husband." And a few yards away in the crowd, there was her husband. "I've lost a wife, I've lost a wife." Give us another one, Willie. "I've lost the wife." And of course, you know, all our railways at home are nationalised, and they only employ unemployed comedians. By Joes, they're witty at the best of times, but they surpass themselves at the Glasgow Fair. I saw this poor fellow getting out of a taxi. You could see the white of his eyes as he realised his train was leaving the platform. He dashed through the station with his coat over one arm and his case over the other arm. He vaulted over the barrier. He shouted to the guard, "If I run, will I catch it?" The guard says, "If you run, you'll beat it." I'd like to introduce to you the very fine singing talents now of our young man that you're going to hear an awful lot of in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Alexander Morrison.
Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, I'll sing thee a song in thy praise. Thy Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream. Thou stock-dove whose echo resounds through the glen, ye wild whistling blackbird in yon thorny den. Thou green-crested lapwing, thy screaming forbear. I charge you, disturb not my slumbering fair. Thy crystal stream, Afton, how lovely it glides, and winds by the court where my Mary resides. Oh, wanton thy waters, her snowy feet lave, as gathering sweet flowers she stands thy clear wave. Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, sweet river, the theme of my lays. Asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream.
Thank you very much, Alec. That was really terrific. I must say, you're a tremendous singer. So, what wonderful talent. Would you like to sing a song with me? And before it's time to reply, we will go into that song. Let's sing Two Highland Lads of the story of Sandy and Andy. And just to make matters more confusing, you can be Andy and I'll be Sandy. Here we go.
We're happy to be with you, all listeners near and far, and in a song we've brought along, we'll tell you Andy Mackay,
to Highland lads are we. I'm Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay,
we're fond of company. We've come from the heart of the Western Isles to sample Glasgow town, and thanks to the welcoming words and smiles we think we'll settle down. I'm Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay.
what if in dreams we see the coolness of sky,
Maybe foot by
the sunshine on Kerry? We doubt if we'll ever return to the heather we're all over dither in Glasgow. I'm Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay,
to Highland lads are we. Sandy and Andy, we're getting to know the places to go.
we're eating the fish and chips
from out of the paper. Sandy and Andy,
and maybe it's true, a lassie or two we cuddle on evening trips.
he's cutting a caper. Sandy and Andy, in many a dive we're learning to jive, and oh how the time goes by.
Upon my soul, we rock and roll, until the daylight fills the sky. Oh, hi.
I'm Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay,
to Highland lads are we. I'm Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay,
we're happy as can be. The bonny wee lassies in Glasgow town, the kilt they just adore. There's plenty of piping in Glasgow town, and Cayley's by the score. I'm Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay,
we're two in harmony. Our spirits are high,
we're no of a child,
we're sometimes on the spree, and should there be trouble, the shell with the double, we've only to shout in the galley. I'm Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay,
to Highland lads are we, to Highland lads are. Sandy Mackay,
I'm Andy Mackay,
to Highland lads are we, to Highland lads are we. Thank you very much, Sandy. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's hear it for Sandy Morrison. Sorry, Alexander Morrison. A name you're going to remember. I can't remember it, but I'm sure you will. I was talking about the weather in Scotland last summer, and I shouldn't say things like that because my wife and myself and the family, we had a lovely holiday last summer. We went up to Aberdeen, and we had a fortnight of glorious weather. Mind you, it had been raining the day before we arrived. I could tell by the boats in the streets. I got there, I didn't know whether to look for digs or build an ark. I never saw, they tell me the rain was, well, I'll tell you this. They've got three kinds of tides in Aberdeen, the ones that come in, the ones that go out, and the ones that come straight down. We were walking past this garden. It was absolutely flooded in rainwater from the rain of the previous day. I looked over the hedge in the garden and I saw this bonnet, or gentleman's cap, floating on top of the water. I bent down to pick it up and a woman's voice shouted, "Leave him alone, he's cutting the grass." And then we went down to the beach. That was marvellous. Mummy and Daddy and all the children. Every mummy and daddy in Aberdeen and all their children down on the beach. I'll tell you this, Lawrence of Arabia had an easier time in the sand than we had. You know the kind of thing. "Daddy, Daddy, come quick. Willie's up to his knees in the water." Well, that's all right. "No, Daddy, he went in head first." Saw an old grandfather lying there having a snooze. And his wee grandson came up. He says, he had a spade in one hand and a bucket in the other. He says, "Grandpa, Grandpa, going to kick my bucket for me?" The old man says, "Why do you want me to do that, Amy?" She says, "Because Mummy told me the minute Grandpa kicks the bucket, I can have a new bicycle." Enough of this levity. Let us return to the world of talent, the world of music, the world of song. She's going to sing Coming Through the Rye for us right now, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Anna Desti.
Gin a body meet a body coming through the rye, gin a body kiss a body, need a body cry. Ilka lassie has her laddie, then they say aye. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the rye. Gin a body meet a body coming frae the toon, gin a body greet a body, need a body froon. Ilka lassie has her laddie, then they say aye. Yet all the lads they loo me weel, and what the whore am I? Amang the train there is a swain I dearly loo mysel, but what's his name and where's his hame I dinna care to tell. Ilka lassie has her laddie, then they say aye. Yet all the lads they smile at me when coming through the
Ladies and gentlemen, once again it's time to meet that ancient rascal, Auld Andra.
I've just been to a wedding or a funeral, a christening or something of the kind. And the stuff that I've been drinking took my noddle, and to where or what I've been, I can't mind. But I feel as brave as any highway robber. I've a courage of the dozen men that knew. I'm a miserable devil when I'm sober, but I'm awful, awful happy when I'm fool. And I'm fooling new. I'm a little fool, but I adore the country I was born in. My name is Jock McGraw, and I didn't care a straw, but I've something in the bottle for the morning. Hello, how are you getting on, by Joes? I must confess, I've had one, I have. I had a wee sensation there, across in a place of refreshment. I met this fellow, he was an awful nice chap. He says to me, "Hello, Grandpa, would you like a drink?" Well, I let him twist my arm for me. I didn't want to be so proud as to refuse his hospitality. I said, "Thank you very much." I said, "I'll have a whiskey and a beer." By Jove, he says, "I've noticed you Scotchmen, you always drink beer and whiskey together. Is there any reason for that?" I said, "Young man, there's a great deal of alcoholic research gone into that momentous decision. You see, we Scotsmen realized a long time ago that if you drink beer alone, you're full before you're drunk. And if you drink whiskey alone, you're drunk before you're full. So we drink beer and whiskey together, and then we get drunk and full at the same glorious moment." Thank you. I'm not particularly nearly so much as the beverage, because I've got myself a wee automobile. That's a car. I have. I'll tell you, it was the most phenomenal thing how it happened. It was last January, and I was invited, as per usual, along to the annual Old Folks' Treat and Sworry in the village hall, which is only half a mile from my residence. That's a house. So I just walked. It was a beautiful night. The stars was a-twinkling, the moon was a-shining, and it was a good, bright, clear night. It was more like August than January. And I walked there, and what a night we had. We did all the favourites that I love so well, the Lancers, the Quadrilles, the Petronella, Strip the Widow. Willow. She went home early this year. And then I went home, I went next door. Oh no, I didn't go, I'm not that daft. I went next door for a wee tootie. And before I knew where I was, by Joe's, I'd had a brass band. Before I knew where I was, I didn't know where I was. And then it was closing time, and the whole place was shut up, and the dance was over, and I was outside in the street. I started to walk, and I knew where I was. I was up to my knees in pavement. And what a night it was. The rain was coming down in tournaments. You couldn't see your nose in front of you. It was as dark as the Duke waistcoat, and the only comfort I had was the smell of my own breath bouncing off the wall behind me. And I was just hoping that a little car would come along and give me a lift down the road. When out of the darkness of the night and the wind and the rain and the storm, there came this little Morris Mini Minor, and it stopped it right by me. Well, I didn't wait for an invite. I just opened the door, in I went, and shut the door, and the car drew off,
Say, that was awfully good of you. Thank you very much. I was in a fair way for to be getting socket there. Are you, well, you never know who you're talking to. I said, are you a stranger in these parts? Have you come from far? Have you far for to go? I thought, by George, I've got a right responsive one here, I said, können wir halb noch sprachen Sie Deutsch? And then I thought, maybe I'll try with a bit of sociability. I said, would you care for a cigarette? And I took out my cigarettes and I pushed them forward the way you would to the driver. By George, there was no driver. There was nobody in that little yellow mare's mother mini mile but me. I was absolutely transmogrified. And then, just at that, by the goodness, we got to my house and we kind of slowed down. And I was out that car and up the path and in the front door like the hammer of the... And I went straight up the stairs to my bed. You're a liar, you had a drink, so I had, and I enjoyed it. And up to my bed. And I was as sound asleep as a bairn before I knew where I was. Well, I got up the next morning and I thought over the events of the preceding evening and I decided it was all just a bad dream. So you're getting too old, Andrew, for this carry on. That it was that twisted cheese you had for your tea that upset you. And I thought to myself, now, you can learn something even from a bad dream. If I just had a little motor car, it would make all the difference to my life. Well, I've a few bob in the bank. You can't take it with you. You might as well drive there in comfort. So I went down to the local garage that very morning. I saw my friend Willie McLean working away there. Say, hello, Willie. He says, hello, Andrew. What can I do for you? Say, I'm thinking of buying a wee car. He says, you, say, don't laugh. I want one that's just like myself, a wee bit worn about the engine, but game for the road any time of the day or night. Well, he says, I've a grand old Ford over there. It's a bit done, but it's no done. It'll just do you fine. Say, how much are you wanting for that? Oh, he says, I wouldn't be too hard on. And just at that, I happened to look to the other side of the garage, and what do you think I saw? I saw that very self-same little yellow Morris mini miner what had taken me home the night before through the dreadful wind and the rain and the scarlet. So never mind your Ford. He says, that you know to hang, Andrew, I couldn't sell you that, you know. I had to shove the damn thing home 2 miles in the rain last night.
Every road through life is a long, long road, full of joy and sorrow too. As you journey on, how your heart will yearn for the things most dear to you. With wealth and love 'tis so, but onward we must go. Keep right on to the end of the road. Keep right on to the end. Though the way be long, let your heart be strong. Keep right on around the bend. And though you're tired and weary, still journey on till you come to your happy abode. When all you've loved and you're dreaming of will be there at the end of the road. Good night now, good night.
And now it's on with the second part of the show, ladies and gentlemen, with our pianist Mark Simson. And let's welcome back the master on the accordion once again, Jimmy Blue.
There's a lass that's known to me, fairer none nor fairer she. She alone is left to me, though I'm sad and weary. Let the sun sink to the sea, the moon and stars and darken be. She is all the world to me, my bonny, bonny dearie. Lassie, oh, my lassie, oh. Days may come and days may go, but in my heart I love you so. Bonny lass of Scotland, silver sands on Morar shine, briar roses sweetly twine. Summer days are fair and fine, and linties sing so cheery. If I had the promise, say, of 50 years as bright as May, I'd gie them all for just one day beside my bonny dearie. Lassie, oh, my lassie, oh. Days may come and days may go, but in my heart I love you so. Bonny lass of Scotland. Thank you very much. That was a new song written by the talented Jimmy Blue, and I scribbled the words to it. Well, there are bonny lassies in Scotland, as there are here, but I'm sure there's not a bonnier lassie in the hall tonight than our young lady of song to sing for us now, The Holy City. Let's welcome back Anna Desti.
Last night I lay a-sleeping, there came a dream so fair. I stood in old Jerusalem, beside the temple there. I heard the children singing, and ever as they sang, methought the voice of angels from heaven in answer rang. Methought the voice of angels from heaven in answer rang. that would not pass away. It was the New Jerusalem that would not pass away. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, sing for the night is o'er. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you indeed. Well, we're having a grand ceilidh here tonight, aren't we? Hey, all enjoying yourselves? Of course you are. I'll tell you what, though, we're going to keep the mood nice and soft. We're going to keep the lights nice and dim. And we're going to have a tune now that's achieved popularity throughout the world. It was #1 in the hit parade in Britain. And as I say, it's well known now, no matter where you go in the world, the version especially of that played by the Pipes of Scotland. But right now it's Jimmy Blue to play his own version of Amazing Grace. Thank you, Jimmy. By Jove, that was something, wasn't it? Amazing Grace, played there, of course, by Jimmy Blue. Well, now, to continue with the ceilidh, we're going to ask Alec to come back and sing another song for you. I'm sorry, Alexander, to come back and sing another song for you. Alexander, we'd like to hear you sing right now, Hail Caledonia.
Hail Caledonia, land of my childhood, home of my birth. so radiant and fair. Though I have roamed through the world and its beauties, nowhere on earth with thee can compare. Thou art majestic and regal and splendor, thou art the land of the gallant and free. Lassies wi' hearts I see true and see tender, hail Caledonia, how I love thee. Let the Irish sing of their emerald isle, where the four-leaved shamrock grows. Let the English praise their valleys and braes, and their bonny blooming rose. But give me the land of the heather and the kilt, the mountains and the river, for the blood leaps in my veins when I hear the bagpipe strains. Scotland, dear old Scotland, forever. Hail Caledonia, thy name acts like magic on each Scottish heart when they're far o'er the sea. Down in the south, when their day's work is over, their thoughts turn back, dear old Scotland, to thee. Thy sons are respected and loved o'er the world. A Scotsman is always so staunch and so true. And if in battle his standards unfurled, he'll give his life's blood, Caledonia, for you. Let the Irish sing of their emerald isle, where the four-leaved shamrock grows. Let the English praise their valleys and braes, and their bonny blooming rose. But give me the land of the heather and the kilt, the mountains and the river, for the blood leaps in my veins when I hear the bagpipe strains. Scotland, dear old Scotland, forever.
I've just come down from the Isle of Skye. I'm no very big and I'm awful shy, and the lassies shout when I go by. Hey, Donald, where's your trousers? Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low. Through the streets you'll see me go. Everybody says hello. Donald, where's your trousers? To wear the kilt is my delight. It is not wrong, I know it's right. How the folks won't get afraid if they saw me wearing trousers. Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low. Through the streets you'll see me go. Everybody says hello. Donald, where's your trousers? Oh, the lassies want me, everyone, let them catch me if they can. You can't take the breeks of a Highland man, and I don't wear the trousers. Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low. Through the streets you'll see me go. Everybody says hello. Donald, where's your trousers? Donald, where's your trousers? I close my eyes and picture the emerald of the sea, from the fishing boats at Dingle to the shores of Donadee. I miss the River Shannon and the boats at Skippereen, the moorland and the meadows with their 40 shades of green. But most of all I miss the girl in Tipperary town. And most of all I miss her lips, as soft as eider down. Once more I long to see and do the things I've done and seen, where the breeze is sweet as Shalimar, and there's 40 shades of green. Most of all I miss my girl from Tipperary town. And most of all I miss her lips, as soft as eider down. Once more I long to see and do the things I've done and seen, where the breeze is sweet as Shalimar, and there's 40 shades of green. I used to be a roving lad, a roving and wandering life I had on any lass I'd frown, who'd try to tie me down. And then I met a lovely maid who held her hand, and I stayed, and now across the green I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Jean, Jean, roses are red, and all of the leaves have gone green, and the clouds are so low you can touch them, and so come out to the meadow, Jean. Jean, Jean, you're young and alive. Come out of your half-dream dream and run, if you will, to the top of the hill. Ah, come to my arms, Bonnie Jean, till the sheep in the valley come home my way, till the stars fall around me to find me alone, till the sun comes a-singing, I'll be waiting. Jean, ah Jean, you're young and alive. Come out of your half-dream dream and run, if you will, to the top of the hill. Come to my arms, Bonnie Jean. In Aberdeen I used to know a lass with a name, her name was Jo, and every night at 10 I'd see her in the glen, but now I'll no see her again, especially in the glen at 10, for now across the green I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. I'd like to sing a wee song for you now that really warms the cockles of any Scotsman's heart. It's about whiskey. It's called Campbeltown Loch, and I'd like to tell you the little story about it. I often wondered how the song came about, because the chorus, as you probably know, is traditional. Roddy McMillan found the chorus, and he wrote the first verse, and I wrote the rest of the wee song as we know it nowadays. But I went to Campbeltown with Roddy, and we asked everybody, could they tell us how this phrase came about? Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey. And we met an old Highland man, and he told us the story. He was well in his 80s, or maybe even his 90s, but he told us exactly how it happened. Well, see, a long time ago, you know, there used to be as many as 14 distilleries here in Campbeltown, just after the Garden of Eden it was. And one day there was a dreadful fire in one of the distilleries, and all the 5,000-gallon vats of whiskey was bursting open with the heat. And all the men of Campbeltown was running down the streets after the whiskey. Man, they were coming from everywhere. In half an hour they'd arrived from Oban. Well, do you see, it was a great thing to catch this whiskey. They were grabbing pots and pans and kettles and bottles. They were grabbing them from anywhere at all, from the shelf, from the table below the bed, just as long as they would hold the precious fluid. Well, unfortunately, that particular day, there was a cadet naval training ship in the harbour at Campbeltown, full of young boys learning to be sailors, and they were too young to know what they were doing, and they went up the hill and they put the fire out. It was an English ship. And to this day, if you offer a man from Campbeltown a glass of whiskey, there's a wee chance he will accept. But if you say to him, would you like some water with your whiskey? He will remember the tragic day, shake his head and say, no, thank you. What's the good of starting a fire and then putting it out? Campbeltown Loch. Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, Campbeltown Loch, oh, oh, Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, I would drink you dry. Now, Campbeltown Loch is a beautiful place, but the price of the whiskey is grim. How nice it would be if the whiskey was free and the loch was full up to the brim. Oh, Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, Campbeltown Loch, oh, oh, Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, I would drink you dry. I'd buy a yacht with the money I've got, and I'd anchor it out in the bay. If I wanted a nip, I'd go in for a dip. I'd be swimming by night and by day. Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, Campbeltown Loch, oh, oh, Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, I would drink you dry. But what if my boat should overturn and drowned and no whiskey was I? You'd hear me shout, you'd hear me call out, what a wonderful way to die. Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, Campbeltown Loch, oh, oh, Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, I would drink you dry. Ah, but what's this I see? Oh, hone for me. 'Tis a vision to make your blood freeze. Blah, 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 blah. It's the police afloat in a dirty big boat, and they're shouting, time, gentlemen, please. Oh, no, no. Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, Campbeltown Loch, oh, oh, Campbeltown Loch, I wish you were whiskey, Auntie Mary had a canary. By George, you were nearly singing there, weren't you, eh? Oh, there's a lady got to Victoria Cross. I want to drink ye dry. Okay. Here's to you, and here's to me, and here's to yours and mine. Here's to you, and here's to me, for auld lang syne. We're glad to meet, we're sad to part, for parting brings us pain. Then here's to you, and here's to me, until we meet again. Aye, once again, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, it's yon time. Time to say goodnight. Let's say goodnight to everybody who's entertained you so royally this evening. First of all, our thanks to the one and only, our tour manager, Jimmy Warren. Yes, let me hear it. Come on. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. And of course, to the gentleman without whom the show would be completely impossible, playing so wonderfully for everybody throughout a long evening for him. marvellous evening for you, listening to the playing of Mark Simson. Yes! A lovely young lady of song, Anna Desti. After all, lad from the Highlands of Scotland, Alexander Morrison. The king of the accordion, Jimmy Blue. From all of us to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for being with us once again. Take care of yourselves. Good night. God bless you. Okay, here we go. Let's sing it again. Here's to you, and here's to me, and here's to yours and mine. Here's to you, and here's to me, for all lang syne. We're glad to meet and we're sad